We kick things off talking about stopping the spread of HIV/AIDS around the world. And to discuss this with me this morning, I'd like to welcome Wame Mosime, who is the Director of Global Programs and Advocacy. And she is actually the International Treatment Preparedness Coalition, which is the ITPC Director of Global Programs and Advocacy, which is based in Gaborone, Botswana. I just love her accent. I was speaking with her off air, and it's a beautiful accent. Sounds a little Trini too. But welcome to Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Trinidad and Tobago as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
Now, from last year's statistics, just over a year ago, March 2016, there were an estimated 10,000 to 14,000 people living with HIV/AIDS in Trinidad and Tobago. And according to the Deputy Director of HIV's Coordinating Committee, then Dr. Ayana Sebro, of the National AIDS Program, that has resulted in the diagnosis of 27,000 persons between 1983 and 2014. And she also said that there's been an increase in HIV rapid testing sites across Trinidad and Tobago from 1 to 64 during the period 2005 to 2014. So that shows some improvement, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
But tell us what the International Treatment for Preparedness Coalition, you're here in Trinidad and Tobago. Tell us what it is about and what it is you do.
Sure, thank you. So let me start by giving you an overview of what we do as an organization. We're an international organization that seeks to promote, to support people living with HIV/AIDS who need access to treatment, to support them to actually gain access to treatment. So this is through education, educating them about what services are available for treatment, where to get the treatment, and how the treatment actually supports you to stay healthy and alive, live much longer. We also support people who are HIV negative to remain negative. And this is by educating around what are the prevention services that are available to, that are being offered by healthcare facilities. And to sort of support them to actually gain access to these prevention services.
So you're here in Trinidad and Tobago to educate people specifically. What are some of, you're talking about treatments and various things to help prevent the spread of HIV/AIDS, to help basically prevent new people from getting HIV/AIDS as well. What are some of the treatments, new treatments that are available that we might want to find out, that we will want to find out about, not right, we will want to find out about?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the starting point for anyone is testing. So, knowing your status is actually a very critical entry point for a lot of, in order for you to know what steps to take following that. And then if HIV negative, there are an array of services that are offered by health facilities. Condoms, I think, is the one that we know very quickly and has been, from the very beginning being pushed to say, if you're HIV negative, make sure that you use condoms. But there's also a new program called pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's PrEP in short. And PrEP is an additional option that is an additional option that is available to communities. So anyone who actually wants to prevent themselves from becoming HIV positive, it's a program in which an individual takes a pill on a daily basis to prevent them from becoming HIV positive. You are able to, test, screen for STIs as well. You're able to monitor some of the side effects. You're able to gain access to other prevention initiatives. So it's a real comprehensive program, including taking a pill, but it's more than that. And in countries, for example, like Thailand and India and New Zealand, they've actually used PrEP as an additional prevention tool. So in addition to condom use, where in those circumstances is about 80 to 90% use of condoms, many of the individuals felt that if I take PrEP as an additional tool, this would really ensure that I can stay negative and I'm able to screen for other STIs or other elements to ensure that I'm healthy.
How long has it been around?
So WHO, the World Health Organization, started the implementation or the integration of PrEP into the guidelines in 2015. Okay. And since then, many countries have facilitated what we call PrEP demonstration projects, which is really a mechanism where they have tested out how PrEP works in specific communities. You know, can it work in the circumstance? What makes it work in here? Why do people take it? The need for, or the way PrEP has actually been implemented is based on the community's needs as well. So countries have implemented it how the communities have been able to say, this is how we think PrEP could be of benefit to us. So in every country, there's been a slight, the model of implementation has varied, but as a whole, we see that it's been quite successful in countries that have been implementing PrEP. And I think countries are at different points. You have countries that are still thinking about it to countries who've actually gone ahead and implemented it. So there's an array of experiences that can be shared.
Have we started it yet, or have you come to tell us about it?
I cannot speak in terms of Trinidad, where the status is, but for us as ITPC, it's important for us to actually build that public awareness because it's an important tool, and I think in the context of prevention, it's a great opportunity. If actually used well and consistently, can show that it demonstrates that up to 92% efficacy. So, you know, again, like condoms, we think it's quite a fantastic prevention option that people can gain access to once available.
Now, this is actually your first trip to the Caribbean, to Trinidad and Tobago as well. It's your first stop in the Caribbean countries. I just offered some statistics there with respect to Trinidad and Tobago. 10 to 14,000 people living with HIV/AIDS. That's a year ago. Don't know if it's increased since then. What have you found these statistics are like in the Caribbean area?
Well, in the Caribbean, so we know that the Caribbean has the second highest HIV prevalence, second to that of sub-Saharan Africa, which really makes it important for us to think about prevention. We know that in between 2010 to 2015, the HIV/AIDS new infections has risen by 9%, which means that we really need to think about how to scale up prevention if we're going to end AIDS. So this is why we're actually going region by region, speaking on issues of PrEP and trying to figure out what is the best way to support the different regions globally to implement prevention initiatives that can work within the context.
Now, there's still the stigma attached with HIV/AIDS. It's still considered, as they say, a homosexual, gay disease, homosexual disease, but it's much more than that, which people still need to understand. How does one go about really, I mean, it's been so long since it's been happening, people still don't understand that it's more than just a homosexual disease. How do you train people or teach people that, listen, it's much bigger than that?
I think it's important to look at it in terms of an environment. So we say, we talk about high risk, and what is more important strategic for us is to look at what are the elements in the environment that make someone more susceptible to HIV/AIDS exposure. And it's not about classifying a population, but any one of us, you know, can be exposed to HIV if under bad, you know, under negative circumstances. So it's about trying to unpack, you know, what makes an environment high risk, and is within that trying to then facilitate and support communities to figure out how to navigate through that and find the best prevention methods to ensure that if HIV negative, they can remain negative. If HIV positive, they can actually then have access to treatment timely as well.
Okay. Now, how are you going to go about implementing this in Trinidad and Tobago? How is the ITPC going to be, who are you going to be interacting with so that this information gets out there?
Okay, I can't speak specific to Trinidad, but in general, what we're looking to do as ITPC is support the communities in general, have a better appreciation of what PrEP is about. So the science came out a few years ago, and everybody was still thinking through it. You know, does it make sense? How does it work? You know, what exactly is this? Oh, can I actually prevent myself from becoming HIV positive? And I think it gave sort of a light of hope, you know, when things were getting very hectic with HIV. So it's our mission to support the communities to build education around PrEP. What does it actually mean? And what's interesting actually in our other regions, for example, in Thailand and India, the practice are showing that PrEP is actually a complementary program to other prevention services that are in existence. So it's not to say let's stop using condoms, but to say we have an additional tool that we can use in addition to condoms to support us thoroughly. And in those situations where I cannot, I don't have an ability to protect myself from exposure, then you have something, you have PrEP as an additional tool that can help you remain HIV negative. So it's really, our mission is really to educate and support communities to gain a better understanding so that when it does become available, they already know, they're aware, and they can make the choices around whether they want to access PrEP or not.
Fantastic. Yeah. And it's something that we need not shelve on the back burner because it's still there. I mean, up to 14,000 people living with HIV. Absolutely. This is last year's statistics in Trinidad and Tobago. So prevention is the key and stopping the spread, basically, of HIV/AIDS. So I hope that your message gets there and people do listen and protect yourselves, yes. Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Wame Mosime, the Director of Global Programs and Advocacy of the International Treatment Preparedness Coalition. Thank you so much, and thank you for letting us know all about this. Something for Trinidad and Tobago to get on board with. Stay with us. We'll be right back.